In a world
In a world
where tomorrow's blockbusters reign,
and yesterday's classics are forgotten.
3 women intend to remember.
Hey everyone, welcome to Millennials of the Movie House, the podcast where 3 friends watch older movies and review them from our modern, everyday perspectives. I'm Betsy.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Serena.
And today we are talking about High Noon.
Woo, 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 woo. That was my tumbleweed sound.
That was
There it is.
very loud tumbleweed sounds. 1952, written by Carl Foreman, based on a story by John W. Cunningham.
Because of course.
Because of course, everything is based off of something. Directed by Fred Zinnemann, starring a lot of people, but mainly Gary Cooper, Grace Kelly, Katie Girardo, and Lloyd Bridges. I would say that maybe those are the 4 top. I don't know. We'll see.
I agree.
Quick synopsis. Tracy, go.
Whew, okay.
I thought
There was a moment there where you thought I was going to say Serena.
There was a pause.
There was a moment.
Okay. Western.
Mm-hmm.
So, cliches. Just think of all of them. We have a retiring, like literally in the beginning scene, he's getting married and is retiring from being the sheriff. And news comes to town that his nemesis that he put away from jail is just got out of jail. And he's headed to town on the noon train. So he will be in town at high noon. So he wants to, I don't know, kill this guy, catch this guy. Like, I feel like he got out of jail legit, but so he tries to round up his buddies and he wants to get a posse to deputize them so they can get this guy. But Frank Miller, the bad guy, has his own buddies waiting for him. They're literally waiting at the train station with his gun so they can go back to doing what they're doing. Then his now wife is a Quaker, a non-violent person, is like, no, we just need to leave. You've retired from this life. Let's go. And he's like, I can't leave town until I've killed Frank Miller, which is part of the lyrics of the theme song of this movie. Anyway, then he does exactly as the song says, and he hunts down this guy and kills him and then leaves town. There's other things along the way. There's an ex-girlfriend that kind of plays a big part, some conflict with the townsfolk.
And the deputy.
And we actually have Amy comes back and shows that she ain't so nonviolent. So
things to say about the women in this movie, but yes.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, good job. That's basically it. How did we like it?
I thought that I was going to not like it because, old Western, whatever, wasn't usually my steez.
Okay. Can I interrupt here?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to point out that we actually started watching another Western. And I was the only lucky one that didn't have to watch it.
Yeah.
So Serena only watched 5 minutes of it?
I threw in the towel after 5 minutes. I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. And I was thinking to myself, I have to watch this at work tomorrow and I'm not feeling it. Like even the music, I was like,
So I think it's a millennial first that we actually canceled the movie halfway through. Well,
Yep.
Betsy, you watched the whole thing. We're like, we
Yep.
can't even make it through to say not to watch this movie.
Yep.
Okay, that is
I
all.
was like, no, I don't even want to give an episode to this movie. That's how bad it was.
anyways, so I thought I was not going to, not to say like, well, this is what I always say. I'm always like, oh, I thought I wasn't going to like it. And then I'm like, oh, I was pleasantly surprised. With most of our movies, that's how it goes. I liked the music. I enjoyed the movie. I did.
Good.
I enjoyed all the actors. Yeah.
I will be the first to say I'm not a fan of Westerns. And I think I texted it to you, Tracy, before I started. I was hoping that this movie transcends the genre, and I really think it did.
Yeah.
I think it was more of a drama than a Western, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt more like, again, I actually think I might like Westerns, maybe.
Yeah. Good Western.
But I didn't think it felt like a Western. I felt like it was just a period piece.
Yes.
Where it's like, okay, it's just an old timey town,
Everything's in sepia.
Yes. With the exception of, I feel like it did have like classic, like there was one point where one of the 3 bad guys waiting for the main bad guy they were walking away from camera, and all three of them had this amazing cowboy strut.
Oh yeah.
Like that,
I wrote down, oh, Sheb has some swagger.
yeah,
Yeah.
it almost seemed like a, not a parody, but like a sketch of old John Wayne, like somebody making fun of John Wayne. That's what it looked like. But I think that's what they were doing. And then there was a couple of other shots, like the showdown when they were walking all four in a row down like an empty street.
Oh yeah.
That was great.
There's some really good shots in this movie, Bets. Have either of you seen this before?
No, I haven't.
There are some great shots. Like I sent a couple screenshots to you guys that I was like, that doesn't even do it justice, but I can see why this movie won awards. You said
it won 4
Oscar.
and then was nominated for an additional 3. So it won for Best Actor, Best Film Editing, Best Music, and Scoring, and Best Original Song. And
best music.
I think those are all well deserved. I mean, Tracy, you said you were a little surprised that Gary Cooper won.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk about him a little bit because I didn't think he was that stereotypical Marshall. I thought he was a little too squishy.
There was some squish.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that more, but but side note, I mean, just a reminder, this is our second Gary Cooper movie.
Yes, to a point where I could see why he was cast in the other movie that I'm now forgetting the name of, and he did a great job. I feel like, oh, good job. Yeah, Ball of Fire. I thought he was more of a dramatic actor than a Western. I always think of Western as an action movie.
Yeah.
And
more fighting.
Yeah. And he's got the build for it, but his demeanor is just so like awkward, like adorable compared to Manly.
Another actor that we all know and love is Jimmy Stewart, and he was a huge Western actor too.
I would be interested to see his stuff then.
Yeah.
Same with, you said Elvis, right?
I was just gonna say Elvis did it too. Yeah. They all kind of jumped into that genre.
I think Gary Cooper brought the drama to what was supposed to be more of a Western. I think he single-handedly brought I guess what we're saying, squishiness to the party. He was soft for the town. He was soft for the people, and it showed, and it came out in his performance. I mean, obviously you will talk about it, but you know.
I want to give a shout out to some of the other actors because this was just such an all-star cast. Both people who were up and coming and people who were already known. Obviously, Gary Cooper was it was maybe a little bit later in his career. And same with Lon Chaney Jr., who I've referenced him before, so we must have seen him in other things, but he's known for the Universal monster movies. Lee Van Cleef, this was his very first role, and he was one of the 3 guys that you guys kept getting mixed up with. He was Colby.
Oh yeah.
So
I couldn't keep the names straight. That was my struggle.
But
fair. I mean, otherwise I could keep everything else straight.
Colonel Potter was in it.
Colonel Potter he came out of nowhere, like suddenly, like because the first time you see him, it's like a split second shot, and I'm like, oh my God, I know that face. Yeah. So that was fun. And then also we of course have Grace Kelly. This is only her second feature film. Have you guys ever known Grace Kelly before this?
I don't think so, but her name is so familiar. Why do I know her?
I know the name. That's it.
She's an icon. She's up there with Audrey Hepburn in terms of known for her glam. She became Princess of Monaco and retired from acting.
She was stunning, and she put on a good performance, and she's gorgeous. And once again, with the outfits, the fashion, she really brought all of it to the table. So I could see why she's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She really played the damsel in distress without actually being a damsel in distress, because she kind of had her own B plot line going, which I appreciated.
One other person I want to do a shout out to is Sheb Woolley, who played Ben Miller.
He's cute.
He was cute. First off, he looked like Luke Wilson.
I have Luke Wilson written down and then crossed off as a recast for him.
Thank you very much. That man was
God,
Luke Wilson. But no, everybody knows Sheb Woolley, or everyone has heard Sheb Woolley's voice because he is the person credited for the Wilhelm scream.
No way.
Yeah. Yep.
Wilhelm scream. How many movies is it in?
Thousands. I don't know. Like it kind of became more famous with Star Wars. Star Wars really, I think, was the one that kind of started it off. And then every action movie ever has this scream now. That
That is
scream.
in every, anytime anybody dies in an action movie, there's that scream somewhere.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Okay, so let's jump in to the questions. All right, guys, top of the marquee. What was our favorite parts?
Helen Ramirez.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
100%.
So
Everything
good.
she did, said, wore, everything.
Yes.
I think my entire note sheet is just a giant quote of hers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
The scene where she kind of told off Harvey,
Ooh.
that was the moment where I'm like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
her. Yep.
That was my part. I was like, I was like, oh, she just officially became my favorite person.
Because after that, she then slaps him across the face.
That was the moment when he grabbed her and kissed her. In a lot of Westerns, a girl would be like,
Yes.
turn at that moment and be like
Absolutely.
head over heels. And she didn't. And I loved it.
Yep.
She subverted
was-
the trope on that. And I loved it.
Yeah. And I also think she had this beauty about her
Yeah.
that was just so
Rare.
non-traditional.
I don't know why. Maybe you guys can clarify, but she gave me the woman Mata Hari vibes. Her look
Oh, okay.
and her
Yeah.
demeanor for some reason gave me way back to the beginning.
I like it.
vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was her face or the non-traditional beauty
Mhm.
or just her attitude in general, but
I was gonna say it may have been
She-
like her poise and her presence. Mhm.
yeah, she held herself shoulders back and confident, but not like full of herself, but very like calm. She like maintained. I noticed there wasn't too much breaking down and crying. There tends to be a lot of that with the female actresses,
That's
and there
true.
wasn't
That's
a lot
true.
of that.
At first, I thought she was a lady of the night. I thought she was a madam. And I don't know if I missed them saying what she did because she like
She's a
rented
store
room at
owner.
the hotel. She's a saloon. She owns the saloon. It was called Ramirez Saloon.
Yeah,
She's a businesswoman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Like,
think, I think
damn.
her relationship with Harvey was just a relationship with Harvey. It wasn't, because I was really expecting the same thing, that she was like, he was visiting her and,
Yeah,
she was getting
yeah.
paid for it.
I wanted to say she was in. I don't mean this in a negative way towards either of them, and she was the absolute opposite of Amy. She
Yes.
was the dark hair, the dark dress, and then you see there's even a picture I sent you guys with Amy with her blonde hair and her white dress. It was like the contrast between the two of them. Not to say one was better than the other, but I mean there really was, like, they were just even like the symbolism.
Yeah, that seemed very purposeful, both good and
Oh,
bad.
yeah. And they even like to a point where they could have pitted them against each other, where they kind of did, because this is the ex-girlfriend of not only this woman's husband, but of the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
And no, this woman was like, gave her advice, and Amy went to talk to her for advice and to talk. Then when you saw them like leave together, they had like this like,
Connection.
yeah, this
Yeah.
friendship or whatever, that they were like,
They bonded.
yeah, women sticking up for women or whatever it was. And she gave her advice to be like, if he was my man and he's not, I would go get a gun and help him.
Yep. That was another trope that was subverted. I loved that they
Yeah.
stuck to each other. They didn't necessarily like each other, but they understood each other and they were helping each other in that situation because they had nobody else.
Absolutely.
really
and,
loved
and
that.
It's because women are either enemies or friends. There's never like this in between. And these people, that it was the perfect example of in between.
Tracy, so did you only have one favorite part?
You know what? Yep. I'm sticking with it. There's other
Woo!
things that I liked, but
We can talk about, but
Yeah,
you have a
that was-
solid, good on
that's
you.
it.
I don't think you've
Yep.
ever had one favorite part.
She's usually like, well, my third runner up for my favorite part.
listen,
Serena, what was your favorite part?
So I enjoyed a lot of different things in the movie. Some things we've already discussed, but one of my favorite scenes, and I know maybe I'm reading into this a little bit deep, but the end, after all said and done, nobody in the town came to his rescue. He literally was ready to put his life on the line for this town, and nobody would step up. And he finally, after it was all said and done, and he took these MFs out as, one by one, picked them off and survived it. and he had his woman. He threw his sheriff badge star down to the ground. He was like, basically like his way of saying, you know what? Forget this place. None of you stood by me. I literally fought for this town, helped build this town up, and no one came to his rescue. So he basically that scene where he just kind of tosses the star down and he's like, well, I don't need this anymore. And then he just walks off walks out.
It was
the ultimate FU.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I don't know if it was an FU because it was more of a you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Kind of like a mic drop.
It was a mic drop and he was out.
But I was reading into it more as just, wow, these people really, all that he's done for the town, and they're not a single, and even his good close friends, not a single one would put their lives on the line for him. Kind of messed up.
Serena, I agree. The mic drop at the end, he was done and he was out of there. Like the second the firing ended, the kid was like, okay, here's your wagon.
It was just his final, like his loose string that he needed to like, oh, maybe that's what Helen meant. Like, if you don't understand, I can't explain it to you. Maybe this was just his last thing he needed to close.
Maybe. Oh yeah, maybe. Well, and also I think I mentioned this before the podcast. I think there's also something to be said that there's an assumption that, in Westerns, there's a good guy and a bad guy, a very clear black and white good guy and bad guy. And in this case, all you have to set here is Frank Miller was a bad guy. And then you're supposed to just fill in all the blanks automatically.
Right. But I was definitely trying to make it more complicated. I was like, oh, he killed his first wife. That's why he has a vendetta against him. But it was like, no, he's just a bad guy.
Yeah. And I think he proved it by immediately coming to town, getting his gun at on the platform off of the train, gunned up, and was like, let's go find Kane.
No. He came off the train. They took off his coat and literally wrapped the gun around his waist like it was some ceremony.
Yeah.
And best part was, this all happened, he was facing away from camera. And it wasn't until Helen got there and looked at him that we ever saw Frank's face.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. That was
beautiful.
Really good. That was really good. I'm with you.
I did notice that. Yeah. That adds to the cinematography. Like another one of the crazy things. That one close-up scene with the three men.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Going off of that, Serena, good point.
Was there more than one of them?
No, there was a bunch. Every time the three men, and then at the end when it was the four bad guys, they met their mark every time, because every time they were on film, you could see every single one of their faces, like it beautifully in shot.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That reminds me of a trivia I saw on IMDb, and I didn't check to see if this is true. You are allowed to count the bullets in this movie.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That is
They were
hilarious.
very good about it. All right. Well, my favorite part was the fact that this was real time, more or less. There was a little bit of cheating there, but I don't know what it is, but whenever a movie is real time, it makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, because it just automatically sets the pace for the movie. You don't have to worry about the pacing because you know that there's a clock happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just always love that.
Well, also because high noon.
Yeah. Well, and they made a point of showing clocks every once in a while. So you knew exactly what time it was, to a point where because I watched it today and you texted me and you're like, if you start this movie at 10:50, it will be noon at noon.
Yeah.
And I tried so hard, but I was a half hour behind, but it was exactly a half hour behind.
There we go. All right, guys, everyone ready for our wheel of questions?
Ooh, yeah.
All right. So this week we landed on the recast. This is where we are going to cast this movie with modern actors, Serena. So
not ones that are dead, not ones from the 80s. Got it.
All right. I'm going to go first because I already said my first person. So we're just going to ride it out. So Ben Miller is obviously Luke Wilson. For Harvey, I put Sam Claflin. Amy, I put as Mackenzie Davis. For Kane, I put Oliver Jackson Cohen.
Oliver Jackson.
Oh,
what was his last name?
Yes.
Oliver Jackson
Betsy,
Cohen.
I am loving your cast so far.
Are you ready for Helen?
This guy.
Yeah.
Stephanie Beatrice.
I had her. Yes. Good job.
Stephanie. I thought she was saying Effany.
All right, that's my casting. What does
Okay.
everyone else
Great
have?
cast.
Serena, you go
You wanna
next.
go?
Okay. The pressure's on, baby. All right. I want to just start with who I casted for Harvey. Shout out to Lincoln Sudbury for Chris Evans. Okay.
Chris Evans, I almost put as Kane. And it's because I got insane Captain America vibes from Kane.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we're gonna
yeah.
I'll talk about it
Yeah.
more. I have it on a later section, but just I almost had
The way
Chris
he
Evans
hold-
on my list.
Holds himself. Well, I'm glad we're all on the same page, the right page, that is. So for Ben Miller, Bradley Cooper. For Helen, Salma Hayek. For Amy, right out of the gate, and I don't know why, maybe it's because I was watching that other show, but Nicole Kidman. How do we feel about this? Nobody said a
If
single
you're, if you're
word.
going older, then fine. I'm just now curious who Cooper is.
Okay,
Yeah,
Cooper.
that's really
is-
what it comes like. I'm waiting to like
Right,
judge
yeah.
until I know who Kane is. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know, because that's why I'm saving the best for last. Tommy Lee Jones. Okay. Now, I'm talking like a little like Men in Black. Now we're going back in time a little bit, but Men in Black a little bit.
So like Tommy Lee Jones volcano era. It's just a completely different movie than what Tracy and I cast. I love
right,
it. Good
all
job,
right.
Serena.
Let's just do an honorable mention. You were really excited about who you cast as Frank Miller.
Ray Liotta.
Yes, that's a good casting. That is a good
Ray
casting.
Liotta,
A face. It's a face.
Ray Liotta is just a good bad guy.
He is. He's the best bad guy.
Okay. So Kane, I casted younger. So Kane, I have as Taron Egerton. Then I have Harvey as Noah Reed from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I think he could. I know we know him as a sweetheart, but I think he could start as a sweetheart and then kind of be an asshole. So Amy, I have Amelia Clark. And then for Helen, I have Dasha Polenko. She
Oh.
plays in Orange is the New Black.
Yep, I like it.
And then I have to give a shout out to the creepy hotel guy.
Oh my God. I was waiting for
wrote-
him to like
that is
murder,
a note. I
rape
wrote.
and pillage.
Ew.
I was
the
ready
hotel
for-
manager is creepy. That's what I wrote down.
We have the same notes and we are how many miles apart? Creepy hotel guy.
Yeah.
And then I cast him as Adam Driver.
He was doing the creepy "I'm gonna kill you when you fall asleep" whistle,
Yeah, I was.
right?
Good job. Yeah, I approve of all those. All right. That was a good round, guys.
Woo.
We all
Great
had
job.
answers. We all had good answers. We all had complete answers. That's all I asked for in this question. All right. Wait a minute. How has this movie influenced or been influenced by other movies?
Wait a minute.
Thank you. I apologize. I didn't wait for that. I'm liking this question less and less, though I do have an answer of sorts.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what I said before, which is I got insane Captain America vibes from Kane. It made me look at Captain America and be like, wow, it feels like a Western a little bit because it's that classic good guy. And
He's doing it just because to be good compared to a vendetta of any sort.
Right. And the idea that he sticks to his guns, even though everyone else abandons him. And to the point where at the end of High Noon, I was expecting a moment like at the end of Endgame when everyone, like he was all alone standing on the battlefield and then like everyone came and backed him up. I was actually expecting that from the townspeople and that didn't happen, but it was because I was comparing it to Captain America so much at that point. So that was really the only influence I could think of, aside from the fact that it's a Western. It was dealing with the tropes. It was subverting the tropes in some instances, but it's Western.
Yeah. So all I could think of, and I don't think it necessarily means that it was influenced by this movie, more of just the genre, was Westworld,
Yes.
which Serena also has written in her notes. You have that classic good guy, bad guy. So yeah, you just have that, like, this is what you're supposed to do in a Western, and you have those tropes.
All right, Serena, did you have anything written down for this one?
Just Westworld. And literally I was putting the pieces together now. I'm like, what is it that it reminds me of? And it's the tropes of the Western, which I know we just said, but
So I don't know if I had follow-up questions for this movie, which I was going to put in the notes roundup, but this might be the right place for it because we're talking about general Westerns. What defines a Western, and why don't we have Westerns anymore?
Oh my gosh, that's right. Do we not have Westerns anymore?
Not in their pure form.
What I think of a Western is, I think of, what is it called? Like a one
man army?
No, a one horse town or something,
One-horse
or
town,
like
yeah.
a one horse town, a saloon, gunfights in the middle of the street, that kind of thing. Cowboy hats. There's a sheriff or like a law, and then there's that kind of thing.
Cowboys.
There's always like a brothel or something like that. That's what I think of. The reason I don't think they're around anymore, and I'm stealing this answer from a video I actually just watched, things are inherently problematic because things were very like, this was winning the West. This was taking over land of the Native Americans. And even our good guys were not good guys. So they were, I think nowadays we notice these problems. So in order to tell this and set it in the right time frame, I don't know. That's what I think. Maybe I could be wrong.
No, that's a good answer. I didn't think of that, where our definition of good has changed. We have different expectations for our heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is it's not that we don't have any Westerns.
And we do have Westworld, but it has that sci-fi. I feel like using sci-fi fixes the problems because it's a Western in the future.
Yeah.
Where you have those tropes, where we set them in the future, where we can change the things that we don't like about society, or give them today problems that we can deal with.
That was kind of how I was answering this question. Was we still have the classic good and evil, but we've shifted it to a different genre, which is the superhero genre, or even the apocalypse genre. I feel like almost the apocalypse genre fits it a little bit better because you do have that level of lawlessness, of, closed off societies, and they're all trying to deal with their own process of good and evil.
Yes, absolutely. As soon as you said that, I was like, it was the lawlessness of it, where these towns really had no one except themselves to feed, to entertain, to protect, all of the above. Mm-hmm. They only had themselves.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there's something to be said that this is a rare genre where location is just as important. You cannot have a Western not in the US West.
Right. Like, and it's it's a location, Montana. And it's a Western was a period of time.
Are they all in Montana?
I don't know.
I feel like that's where the Westerns would have been filmed. Right.
Well, fun fact, some of the Westerns were filmed in Italy. Those are called spaghetti Westerns.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, Betsy. You know how long, like, it was right now that I realized why they were called spaghetti Westerns. Oh my God.
I want to give you the official definition of spaghetti Western because there is a slightly difference to what I was saying.
No, yours is cemented in my brain forever. That's it.
It's fine. It's fine. It's a broad subgenre of Western films produced in Europe that emerged in the 60s. The term was used by American critics and those in other countries because most of those Westerns were produced and directed by Italians.
That's basically what you said.
Yeah. I knew it was a type of Western, and I never understood what the type was because I didn't know, like, I was like, is there a theme? Like, I don't understand what's connecting them. Why? So good job.
There you go. Fun fact. That was my fun fact of the day for you guys. All right, ladies, please remove your hats and silence your cell phones. How does this film hold up?
I think it does.
I think it does.
I think it does as well. Again, because I think it transcends that Western.
Yes.
It felt like a drama.
Honestly, it's all about the women for me. I don't know why. I think they were very strong. Even Amy, who was a little bit minimal, but Helen just blew it out of the park.
Yeah, she
Mhm.
was good. I will say this. The plot it held up, but had there been different actors and actresses, this could have been a flop.
Yeah.
It's the people, it's the cast that they had in there that made it.
Yes,
And
I agree. And I think the same can be said for the director, for the writer. I think the
Yep.
cinematographer, every
Yep.
aspect of this, they just had strong talent across the board
Mhm.
and it made it really solid.
Yeah.
It's kind of rare for me to notice the cinematography, and there's been a few films where
We're
we've
teaching you,
reviewed.
Serena.
no, because like the scenes, like even the way the camera hits the three bad guys up close.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but it was effective.
I got you.
It was effective.
yeah.
And honestly, it was the guy behind the person behind the camera. Yeah, it was everything. I'm a
Mhm.
fan. I'd watch it again.
All right, guys. Notes roundup. What do you got?
Let's talk about the music real quick.
Oh yeah.
The music
Yes.
was like the theme, the opening song. I was just like, oh, okay. Like I didn't
Yeah.
expect it. And it was a running theme throughout. And it basically told the story and it
Yeah.
it was great.
You know what it
Um,
reminded me of?
Cat Baloo. I literally was just thinking that. I was like, what is that one? Oh, Cat Baloo.
Oh, I wonder if that was
A
from
take on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would bet it was.
Mm.
But even like the music was so influential in your emotions and everything that was going on. I definitely thought of a silent movie
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it could be driven by limited dialogue, but with this music going through. And at the end, it tells you how to feel.
Yeah.
And at the end, when it was just basically the shootout, there was no
There's
dialogue.
no dialogue.
And it was,
I mean,
it was
There
sound
was no
effects.
music. We
Yeah,
both
it was
said
music.
dialogue.
Yeah. And I could see why it won for the music.
Agreed. I think those are all my notes, guys. All right, guys. The martini shot.
Clink.
Would you recommend this movie?
Yes, I would.
Definitely yes for me. 110%. It actually changed my whole view of Westerns.
Well, okay. Yes, I'm a solid yes too. Serena, don't use this as a basis for Westerns because you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Oh, so this was like the top of the notch, top notch, and
This
everything else is garb.
This is regularly in like top 100 movies of all time lists.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, I know you say that not to get our hopes up, but it actually gives me
Hope for the genre.
Yeah. Like I
Okay.
feel like it's dipped my toes in, so maybe I could now watch. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. If you like what you hear, you can find more great episodes over on our website, www.millennialsofthemoviehouse.com, or wherever you find your podcasts. Curious about updates, extras from our episodes, or want to add your 2 cents about a reviewed movie? We're also on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle for both is @themoviemillies. Check us out and make sure to follow us. So until next time.
We're millennials.
And we'll see you at the movie house.